Welcome in. It is day 96, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And it is October 14th, and we are on to another Halloween-themed game. Now, today's game is a very small game. It was a Kickstarter that I backed way back in the day when I first got into Kickstarter. We're talking about 12, 13 years ago. And it was cheap, and I think that the game you got kind of resembles that, not in a bad way, just in a there's not a lot there. The game is called Zombie Shuffle. It's just a deck of cards. The concept of the game is pretty straightforward. You're going to get a bunch of cards. You're going to have to pull out a specific design and make a Z on the board. And then you and the other players are going to go through 3 rounds. You're going to get 5 cards to start. You shuffle the deck, people get 5 cards, and then you'll be drawing back up to 5 at the beginning of each round. And you're trying to kill the most zombies. But between your armor and your weapons and everything else along the way, you don't just have to kill zombies. You have the option to attack each other. So it's an interesting game. It's not a huge hit for me. This was not a game that I picked up and was like, oh my God, this is the best game ever. I got it because early on Kickstarter, as I've mentioned in other ones, there are games I've missed through the years or games that were expensive. When I first got into Kickstarter and it was new to me, this was the kind of game I would back. It was cheap. It was $10, maybe 15, nothing a lot. If the site was a scam or if the game didn't complete and they didn't pay you back, I wasn't going to cry over that money. But it gave me a chance to try out the site and see what was coming out and to back people who were trying to get out there and do something for the community. Back when gaming was just starting to explode, I feel like, right after Catan and Ticket to Ride kind of got his intro level games in those early 2000s, games were around 2010 where they were really starting to blow up to what we see today. But this game you're talking about came out right before then, 2009-ish. So it was right when, Kickstarter had come and things were starting to explode. So it was something I wanted to try to back somewhere. And it took me a year before I felt comfortable enough to start backing those 50, 60, sometimes 100 plus package games on Kickstarter. So this was an example of that. Why don't we jump in? We're going to talk about our 7 categories and see what everybody thinks. So, the art on this game is nothing impressive. You're only dealing with a deck of cards and a little card box that holds it. The box itself doesn't impress me at all. And the card art, it's not bad. If you were talking about a basic 52 card deck, it'd be fine. But for a game itself, I thought that the art was a little bit subpar. I have to give this art thumbs down. The components are actually not bad at all. It's just a deck of cards, as I said during the art. The difference is, this is a deck of cards that was made well, has held up. I don't play this a lot, but this is the kind of cards that I look at and I go, yeah, this is probably like a regular deck of cards. It'll give you at least 200 legitimate playthroughs. And I don't mean you play the game once and you're done. I mean a legit, you sit down and you play for an hour or two. Do that 200 times and maybe then you're going to see it start to wear. But that's a normal deck of cards. So for me, thumbs up. The price is tough. And the reason I say that is this. If you're judging it on the price I bought it for and the price it's worth, it's extremely cheap. You're talking about $10, maybe even as low as $8. The problem is this game is way back in the day. It did not do amazing. It succeeded, but it might be like 6,000 or 7,000 at most on Kickstarter. It did not get into stores. It did not make enough to be online as an additional copies to buy there. It is a game you're not going to find. So while I don't think somebody's going to go, oh, this is rare, I'm going to charge $20, $30, $40 for it. What I do think you're going to find is price is not really important when you can't find the game. So I have to give it a thumbs down because price is determined by availability, and this is not available. Your difficulty is this is not difficult. This is an extremely simple game that I think is a beginner and kids game. Your experienced players and your expert players are not going to play this. But your kids and your beginner players are going to love to pull this out because it'll be a nice little intro. And we're going with the Halloween theme. So this was a great one for the month of Halloween, as well as it may during that month get an experienced player to play. Yes, normally I think cross them out, but in the month of October, maybe they come over. So when we're talking about that, and we're literally saying there's 4 categories and 2 of them I think succeed and 2 of them I think fail. But in the month of October, we can squeeze half of those failures in for a little bit of play. That gives you like a 55% chance of it being successful for that. So for that reason, the difficulty doesn't hurt me. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Well, the replayability comes down to this. It is not a long game. It goes pretty quick. So this is a game you're going to play a bunch at once. I think, again, for your kids and for your beginners, you might see this one get played a few times in the year. But I think it's more so going to be a bunch of times in a row, specifically around this time of year, October, November, maybe even a little bit in September. I think during this period of time, this is the kind of game that is easily, put it in your pocket, you can pull it out. A lot of Halloween games, there's still either a setup to it, or it's really, really over-themed, or it's big. This isn't. It's an easy game to just bring along and just see if somebody wants to play. And I think once you hit that September, fall is hit, this is the kind of game that you could play a little bit more often than just an October game alone. So for that, it's playing a bunch in a row. I will give a thumbs up because you're talking about a season now, not just a month. Your keys to victory are 2. You need to have the most zombies. That is the goal of the game. But you can do so by attacking the zombies or by attacking the other people trying to get zombies. And based on that, 2 to 4 player, how are you going to arrange this? I think that there's enough keys to victory here. It gives you some opportunity. You're definitely not going to just be like, oh, well, I got bad draw, so I can't win. Because you can instead say, well, the guy got a good draw. I'm just going to attack him, make sure he can't do anything. I think that works great, so it helps out. So thumbs up. Unique. So that's an interesting question. I think that the theme is not unique. It's zombies. The design is just a deck of cards, not unique. Going through and killing either the zombies or your fellow survivors, not unique. We've seen plenty of zombie games that do this. So I'm not going to give it unique. It's great that it's a small game. And if this was a mass-produced, out-there game, I'd say, sure, unique, but it's not. And since it's not easy to get, I have to judge this based on just the regular factors of what makes up the game, which is what are the things you can do during the game. Everything is repeatable in other games, so it's a thumbs down and unique. Overall, what do I think of this game? It was a great first or second Kickstarter. It was a nice way to intro me into the site. But beyond that, this is not a game I think I'd pick up today, whether it was Kickstarter or even if it is in stores. I think that for your kids and your beginners, maybe this would be a nice game. But I think even for beginners, while I think that they will enjoy the game, beginners are on their way to become experienced. And once they hit that experience level, this is kind of out. So for me, I think this is a game that if you were to come across it, I would pick it up for the kids. Toss it into a stocking at Christmas or have a little Halloween present and give them a game like this and let them enjoy this for those, 4 or 5 years where they're really the kid level before they really become beginners, getting into the true gaming area. It's a nice little intro in that way. But that's just my opinion. It's up to everybody out there to get out there, try out these games. If you can find it and give it a try and you love it, awesome. I'm always happy to find a game that they like. So see what you can do with that. But today has been day 96, and we've been talking about Zombie Shuffle, and you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and unfortunately, this is not going to be one I find from Amazon, but if it ever does pop up there, I will put it in the link below. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.